सद्गुरु कृपा. शिवाय द्यायचं असलं की सद्गुरू, नाहीतर जगदंबा. Continuing on the previous theme, somebody who's in stable peace, which means that no matter the situation, there's no suffering. That means thoughts don't bite by whatever means. For such a person, obviously, the rest of us who are not in that state cannot really imagine or conceptualize such a state, but whatever it may be. When such a person sees suffering around, that person sees suffering, knows suffering, but is not affected by other suffering. Does such a person remain unaffected? How does such a person react? Now, previously, in the previous answer to the previous question, you had already alluded to that on the fourth level, at least in your case, when you see suffering, or even when you don't see suffering, somebody doesn't come out and say, you know, because the station is stuck on the body-mind level, there is suffering. And so the natural thing that comes out of you is, how can I help? Right? So to answer that question, how does a person in stable peace respond to suffering around that person?
Someone who has arrived experientially at his original abode, there will be many. There are many across the world.
Yes.
In my view, in my understanding, 100 people, you take a group of 100 people, a number of 100 people, out of 100 number of people who have arrived at that stable peace.
Right.
Or realized, whatever,
Yes.
realize who they are.
Yes.
I think not more than 2 or 3. The rest, 97 to 98, will remain there in their peace, and they will not be much interested. They will also see the suffering around them. It's not that, because suffering, you are a living being. You are not a spinach. Once you realize, you don't become spinach.
Right. Yeah. So they do see suffering.
They see suffering, but their natural tendency is such, their DNA is such, that not only their DNA is such, but they do not have that ability also to do something for that suffering, to remove the suffering.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They see the suffering,
The gift.
to give it to give it to somebody.
Right.
And third thing is, they don't have that urge as well
Right.
to do something.
Okay.
See, their DNA is such that they are silent, they are happy within themselves, within whatever peace they have found.
Right.
Then they don't have that urge basically to do something for others, even though they see a lot of suffering around. And third thing is, they do not have built-in ability also to be able to do something.
Right.
That's the expression.
Right.
So they remain silent.
Right.
They remain silent on whatever level they are. Their normal living will go on, whatever they are doing.
Right.
So they are not even recognized also.
Right.
They are here, near, there, everywhere around us.
Right.
Sufis especially. There are many Sufis like that.
Right.
In that particular cult, or the way of looking, the highest level of understanding, I consider that as that the Sufis, they will be doing their work, they will be doing their whatever work they will be doing. Somebody will be driving the auto also, somebody will be a car driver also, somebody is doing some work which all XYZ work that all of us do for our earning.
Right.
So there are people like that. But 2 or 3 out of 100, their DNA is somehow specially made. Specially made, why I am calling it specially made? The reason is because like the kinds of like Oshos or Nisargadattas or Ramanas, they come under this category.
Right, right.
That they will have the urge basically. That one element is still there. They find themselves within themselves. That's, I call it as a teacherhood. Teacherhood. Number one. Number two, they have got that urge basically. Urge. Because their DNA is such. That urge basically. Intense urge. They cannot see. There's a kind of a, not compassion, there's empathy. The souls are, they have so much empathy that they cannot see somebody suffering. So it's not their doing. I'm saying it's not their doing.
Yes.
It's not their choice.
Yes.
It's not their choice.
I would say a word in English could be compelled.
Compelled.
Right.
Absolutely compelled.
Right.
Compelled.
Right.
And the third thing, and the most important thing is, they are blessed with something with which they can transfer whatever they have arrived at to somebody.
The ability to teach.
Ability to
share.
teach. Ability to teach, share, transfer, and wake up that person
Right.
from the waking dream.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this is a foundation.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that one among these three will see the suffering, and they will do to the best of their ability, to remove it. Not through mind, but spontaneously it happens. I'll share a couple of examples. Masanabu Fukuoka. One among these three, there are different examples, I see them. One of that I remember, there was a man called Masanabu Fukuoka. He's world famous now for his natural farming, especially in the West. So many people follow his way of farming. Many years ago, he wrote a very famous book called One Straw Revolution. It's a very small book. Apparently, it looks like it is a book of farming, but it is not. It's a spiritual evolution he is talking about. Why I am mentioning Masanabu Fukuoka is, many years ago I found his book. I stumbled upon his book. It had happened, something happened with him was, he was a kind of a scientist, and at the age of 25 or so, you may refer this on Google, the details basically, but at the age of 25, when he was working, was a scientist, and it so happened that something happened within him with a flash. He fell ill for some days, and when he was out of that illness, he was out of the illness, disease, and his ease was restored. Okay, so very interesting. I found this very interesting, and it will be interesting for many of us. And then when he wakes up from the dream, from the waking dream, when he realizes, and then he says, like, he starts talking to his friends. At the age of 25, you can imagine, you are in a different state of mind, different state of expression, the youth and everything. So he starts talking to his friends in the office, and he says, whatever you see here, nothing is real. Nothing is real. And his friend says, you need a break, boss. Because you were not well, you were hospitalized, so something is gone wrong with your mind, your head, brain. So you need a rest. And actually, he resigns from his job. Now, he has found that which is worth finding for any living being. Now, He resigns from his job, goes home to his farm. His father had a land of say 1.5 acre of land, small piece of land, where he had a orange orchard and some rice they used to plant or grow. And he is on a different plane altogether. The fourth station is permanently fixed. The stationless station, the stateless state is discovered. And then that man was one among these three, as I mentioned earlier. Then he must have gone through a lot of turmoil, like he has found the reality, the ultimate truth. Now, in order to pass that, he had that ability, he had that urge, and the DNA also was like that. He felt maybe that what he has found, maybe he was not meant to deliver it in a hardcore spiritualist way to become a teacher.
Like many teachers do.
Like many teachers do, like hardcore non-duality.
Right.
Hardcore. So what happened with this man, Masanobu Fukuoka, is he tells his father, I will take care of this now, this piece of land, and I'll experiment through this. He starts experimenting. And the old orchard of that orange orchard gets totally destroyed through the experiment. Then he starts planting rice in a different way. The olden day, even nowadays in our farms also, we do by the modern way only, like make a nursery of the rice plantation. It's happening right now at Anhad. Make a nursery, then take out those small saplings and then plant it again. So this was all used to happen even in those days also, it's happening now also. So he discovered something, some process over the years of practice, and he developed one method which was the first time ever in the world somebody did that. And that method was one straw revolution. You will find it in that book, One Straw Revolution. What he did in short was basically planting of the rice directly, without sowing, without preparation of the land. Because in those days you need a lot of labor. Now also the laborers are not available. So to avoid all those things and without using any chemical fertilizers, he started growing rice, and over the period of his experience, he was able to come out with 2.5 times the yield he was able to get than by using the chemicals. Minimum efforts and maximum yield. And what all, in short, I will tell you this, what all he did was, he adopted what nature does. How tree grows. We plant a seed. What do you do after that? That seed has got everything within it. That intelligence is there. Supreme intelligence is there in every seed. It knows how to grow. When you plant a mango seed, you don't have to tell him that you are a mango, or the plant doesn't meditate that I am a mango. It knows. It will never give you oranges on the mango. So he understood because he has realized the truth. So he developed one idea, one concept, and he put it forward to everyone, and thereby he used the farming as a medium for his expression of truth. So he also must have seen that people are suffering, that they don't have money, they have a small piece of land, and the amount of material, amount of grains that being produced were not that much. And they were spoiling the chemical, not only the land, but even your health. Because nowadays what we are eating is all chemical flooded food. So he saw the suffering of people and he came out with something in order to remove that suffering. He, I think, lived for more than 90 years. But the whole world reached him to learn how the natural farming is. So somebody out of these three will take a different way.
Yeah.
It may not be a direct spiritual teaching.
Right.
There are people in Japan. Like they will have an expression. They'll see the suffering, and then they will come out with that archery, kung fu and archery,
Martial arts.
martial arts.
Right.
So their front office will be martial art.
Front end.
Front end. Front end will be, showroom will be that.
Right.
But what are they trying to convey? What they have come up with.
Yes.
Third example I found, master of famous Bruce Lee, guru of Bruce Lee, Ip Man.
Okay.
There are a couple of movies made on him. Okay. He was a realized person, but his front end was doing this. Why? Because in those days, wherever he was, there were people, they were attacked, like say Chinese or whoever, there were some troubles happening around. So he developed some people, because that suffering he couldn't see, but his front end was that. But he himself was a realized person.
Right.
So like that, there will be suffering, but some of them who are sensitive enough, able enough, will do whatever best they can. And the most important thing is, if whatever they want may happen or may not happen, they are undisturbed.
Right.
So that is the beauty, that they will do to their best of ability and then forget.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, if I were to summarize this, yes, when you are in stable peace, how such an entity, for lack of a better word, responds to the suffering around would be different.
Yes.
Many of them perhaps will remain silent and continue with their life,
yes,
without uttering a word, and you will not even know that they are at stable peace.
Yes.
A few among them will perhaps start delivering the message. A few of those who start delivering messages because they start delivering because it's an inner urge, as you said,
They are
in their
compelled
DNA.
to.
They are compelled
to.
in their DNA.
They just cannot not do that.
Right. So they will start doing that. In that, some will reach the masses, some will reach a few people.
Yes.
And not just that, the way they adopt would be very different.
Yes.
So I would say, not just for the seekers of stable peace, in American there is a saying, different clothes for different folks.
Yes.
It doesn't just apply to the seekers, but even those in stable peace, how they will react,
Yes.
it is different for how they are made.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.